Welcome to Wisdom, etc. This is Thursday, the 16th of October 2025, and we are back with the series, the Overflow series. And today's word is abundance. It's the abundance mindset. And we actually haven't been doing lives for some time now. I think the last one was mid-September, perhaps over a month. We we've been quite silent in our morning lives, but it's 5:30 in the morning UK time. But today we are looking at abundance. What has come to your mind when you think about the word abundance? Abundance. It's having more than enough. It's having a lot. It's being uh, content. Let's dig into it. So abundance means having a large amount of something, right? More than enough. But true abundance goes far beyond possessions or even money. It is a mindset, right? A way of seeing the world, experiencing the world as full of opportunities rather than when we see the world um, scarce of limitations, right? It's like having the mindset. Right? It usually comes to my mind the either half empty cup or half full cup. You know, if the cup is, you see the cup, the water is just at the middle, the level. Do you see it half empty or do you see it half full? How do you approach life? There are many people that you engage in the day to day, perhaps in your family or workplace. Then you see that when they communicate with you, when they're expressing their their lives, their thoughts, the good things and the bad things, you can actually see, you can fish if their approach is the half cup, half empty cup, or if they have a half full cup approach to life. But mindset is your set of attitudes, right? Is how you interpret, how you respond, how you interact with the world around you. And if your mindset is rooted in scarcity, you will be focusing on what is missing. You focus on what you do not have. And if it is rooted in abundance, you focus on what is possible, right? What are the resources that I have? What is it that I have? I mean, I don't have many things, but what is it that I have? So scarcity versus abundance. Scarcity is the feeling of not having enough, not having enough time, not having enough money, not having enough opportunities, not having enough love. I don't have people, I don't have friends, no one loves me. And that's the scarcity mentality. It is usually driven by fear and the belief that resources are limited. So in economics, scarcity is described by the gap between the limited resources and the unlimited ones. We want so many things, but the resources are limited, and that forces us to make choices, right? Because I want so many things, but I have limited resources. What is it that I actually? What do I pick? What is it that I actually need? Um, and this whole idea of abundance and scarcity is also a spiritual and an emotional um, approach to life, right? In your spirituality, in your journey, in your emotional, in your thoughts. Scarcity limits your growth, but abundance can shift your focus. You start seeing possibilities, you start seeing potential, you start seeing plenty. You stop asking, what if there isn't enough? And you start asking, how can I create more? Now, in my studies in college, I did um, a term on community development. And one of the tools that we taught when we approached a poor community, that was my desire to travel to a poor part of the world and work in community development. And in one of the things or set of tools that we had as we engage a poor community, it's helping them to see what they have. Sometimes you're approaching places and people are so discouraged. Of course, if there is a humanitarian disaster, they don't have anything, and then you actually need to bring a lot of uh, uh, resources from outside. But there are communities that they just couldn't see. And I visit places in South America and in Africa, Southern Africa, and you could see a lot of resources, and sometimes people couldn't see that. The fertile soil and opportunities and water sources that they had, and they just couldn't see. Some of them could, and of course, we're not going to go into the systems of injustice that happens, that exist in the world that keep people trapped. But it's interesting to see in a community development context, the first thing people try, or agencies trying to do, is to shift the mindset of the people. Actually, look around you, look at the resources you have. What can you do with what you have? Can you create that? Can you keep livestock? What crops can you use? What are the opportunities that you have? What strengths do you have in your community? Right? And that's in your personal life as well. What is it that you have? And now there are three stages um, in this abundance mindset. And you start with scarcity, when you really say you worry too much and you just have a negative mindset, I do not have it. And then you improve and you grow to the abundance mindset. Now I have enough, I can improve myself. There is possibility. And the last one is you go beyond the abundance mindset, which is the overflow mindset. I call overflow. It's you have so much that you naturally share. So what you have, it's not only for you, but you share with people and you become generous with what you have. And you're generous with your time, you're generous with your attention, you're generous with your skills, with the knowledge that you have, and you're generous with your source, with your finance as well. So scarcity, and you move into abundance, and eventually you move into the overflow, which is when you give towards others, right? And when you give towards others, you actually have in return as well, and then you grow. You keep growing as you give. Then we have abundance in the context of finance. Now I'm learning with people that I consider successful, and how do they do that? How do they become successful? How do their mind works? What do they think before they purchase something? And it's all mindset, right? And they look at wealth or finance not in terms of financial control. Of course, we need to have a financial control, but it's in terms of wealth management. How do I manage what I have instead of just what do I control? What are the pockets that I invest? How do I create? What are the resources that I have that are not really that are stuck over there? Sometimes we have instruments, equipments, devices that we never use. Could that be turned into cash? Could that benefit someone? or maybe I have a property, and we have in our family, my wife's family, a property in southern Italy by the sea. They use one um, for 1 month a year, and we've been telling them, hey, why don't you rent this property and Airbnb, for example, and use it, let people use it. It's a beautiful region. But no, it's okay, keep it there. We use it in August when it's summertime, so use your resources to build more, to create more. And I'm learning about that. I've been learning. It's a journey, right? So the wise investor doesn't buy as a consumer, but they buy as a creator. This is what I've been learning. Their mindset is different. They're always asking, how will this purchase produce value to me or produce branding? You see these uh, very famous people, sometimes they have this big cars and jets, and it's a lot of that is image that they create. I'm not saying it's good or bad, you can judge that, but a lot of that is just the image or branding that they want to build or attach to their names or whatever they want to show. But wealth should keep producing itself. Assets should remain productive rather than becoming burdens. And we know, I just recently this week I was looking at a few famous people, celebrities. So I come across with two Hollywood actors, Johnny Depp and John Travolta. They made these guys are very wealthy, but they had massive loss in their wealth because they had um, assets they were not producing. When they had properties they were not producing assets, but just costing them massive profits, just costing a lot of money in yachts and airplanes, and instead of a producing finance, they were just there consuming the money, the cash flow that they had. Good examples for what not to do with your resources. So for these two personalities was not the it's not the fact that they didn't earn enough because they do make a lot of money, but because they didn't manage abundance wisely, right? And we see that in scripture. Scripture tells us about there's a lot that we can learn about abundance. There's a lot of what we can learn about wealth management, time management, right? Proverbs 3 says, honor the Lord with all your wealth, with the first fruits of your crops. Then your barns will be filled with overflowing. So it gives the idea of generosity. So back in the days, the first fruits, not just in the ancient Jewish community, other groups as well in religions, they offer uh, the first agricultural products, whatever they produce in their harvest, they would give that to a god, to a deity, and of course the Hebrews would give it to God. They would burn. But in our days, in our context, if you follow God, I mean, if you many religious groups, they would actually give to the poor. They will give part of their resources to a cause, to a religious cause, or to a humanitarian cause, and that is being generous. So we are challenged today. I am challenged because I follow Christ and I believe in the message of the gospel, and I am challenged to give and to share and to invest in humanitarian efforts, in a religious cause and social causes. Um, and sometimes that's not easy, right? Because you are challenged to give, but you're looking, well, should I give? With this £10 or $10 make a difference in my life? Um, but it is a journey to invest in those efforts, and at the same time teaching your children. I've got three. How do I teach them to use a little bit of their pocket money to support efforts, support God's kingdom, if you like? But that comes out of, I think this practice of being generous comes out of an abundant mindset, even if we're not wealth or rich, but we have enough to give, to be generous towards someone, to something, right? Now, Matthew 6, words of Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And he was talking in the context of people being so worried about what do I eat, what do I um, dress, and he says, do not be worried about what you're going to eat and what you're going to dress, but seek first God's kingdom. What is important? Change your life perspectives. Leave your scarcity mentality. Join in the abundance mindset. Look at the birds of the air. Look at the fields. Observe nature. Change your mindset. And another verse in John, Jesus said, I have come that they may have life, and they have life to the full, have life in abundance. So I think God's desire, the Creator's desire for us, is that we live in abundance, even though, even though we know the reality of the world is it's a world of, it's a systems of scarcity in the world, right? It's not that there is a scarcity in nature. I believe there is enough resources out there. This is how it's managed. And the bottom line is decisions, is our decision as humans. How do we distribute? How do we work those resources around the world? So abundance flows from alignment. When your priorities, your values, your actions are working together in harmony. So abundance flows from your alignment with priorities, your values, your actions. Now, the abundance mindset, I was doing a bit of a research, I was preparing for that. It is not just a wishful thinking, it's actually um, recognized in psychological and um, positive psychology and cognitive behavior science. They really acknowledge that. And they say people with abundance mindset experience, and they've done research on this, people with an abundant mindset experience greater life satisfaction. They said that people with an abundance mindset improve financial behavior, and they have a stronger relationships and resilience as well. Diogo Antunes, hi, hey, good to have you with us, Diogo. Great to have you here. All of you online right now, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. It's a huge encouragement to me and to the channel. But I will leave some activities for you if you want to keep considering this area of abundance and scarcity. So one thing you can do is list 5 things you are truly grateful for and say them out and loud. Thanks. That actually helps you shift any scarcity mentality that you have. Even yesterday, this has been a very difficult week at work, things that I'm involved, but I had to take a few minutes. I'm going to be thankful for what I have, for the place I live, for my family, and that shift. And you start seeing hope. The problems that I'm dealing with, let me be thankful for the people that I'm dealing, the resources that we have, even though we have issues that we need to tackle, but I am grateful that I am healthy and that I can actually work, that I have power, that I have internet, um, and so on. What are the things you are grateful for? So list them down. Write down the names of 3 people you consider prosperous, right? You consider um, as living an abundant life. And what habits or attitudes can you learn from these people? What can you learn from them? Why are they prosperous? Why do they have an abundant mindset? Um, the other thing you can do is identify people and environments or habits that drain your energy and commit to limiting their influence on you. Sometimes you have to disconnect from people that put you down. You know, it could be people, it could be perhaps um, social, some sort of social media, something that's probably drain you, or news outlet. I used to watch a lot of the news and really drain my energy and positivity, and start acting in fear. I think it was towards the end of the pandemic, I made a decision that I will not going to be giving my life in attention to news and wasting 1 2 hours of my day in front of a screen just to listen to journalists and what is happening on the world, because I told myself I need to be informed, you know. So I'm just watching what's happening in the world instead of watching what is happening in my own life, in my own marriage, in my own relationship with my kids. So identify people, environments, or habits that drain your energy and commit to limiting that influence on your life. The other thing you can do is create a small group, perhaps a WhatsApp group, and share an insight and encouragement on living with an abundance mindset. Leon, hi. Leon says, I strongly dislike the concept of being grateful for things that should be available for all humans. Lee, I don't know what you mean by that. That you do not, you dislike the concept of being grateful for things that should be available for all humans. But even if it's available for all humans, shouldn't you be grateful for that? Just a thought, but thank you for sharing. Hmm. Like, let's think about water, clean water that should be available to every user. You know that that's not the case. Many people struggling with the water sources and clean water, right? So shouldn't you be thankful for that? Hmm. But thank you for your thoughts. Yeah. Now I leave with you a question with you. I need to leave in 2 minutes. And the question is, what would change in your life if you begin to see every situation or even challenges as an opportunity for abundance and an opportunity for growth? Right. What would you change in your life if you begin to see every situation, even challenges, problems, difficulties, as an opportunity for abundance and growth, right? So I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you for watching, for listening, and I wish you a great, beautiful day. God bless. Oh, Leon is still saying, hi, it appears to me we should have the ability to have basic human needs. I agree with you, Leon. We should have the ability to have basic human needs, our basic human needs met. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But hey, guys, have a wonderful day, and God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with a new theme, a new word, and who knows, I need to find out what is it. Hey, be blessed, be at peace, and have a